Imagine for a second that the nerves in your feet and hands are like high-quality copper wiring. To work correctly, those wires need their rubber coating, that plastic insulation that keeps the signal moving. Now, imagine someone pouring acid over that coating. It bubbles, it thins, and eventually the bare wire is exposed. When that happens in your house, you get sparks and a fire. When it happens in your body, you get that agonizing 3 a.m. burning, the pins and needles, and that terrifying numbness that makes you feel like you're walking on wooden blocks. Most people are told this is just getting older. They are told to live with it, but they are missing the smoking gun. Something in the modern American diet is acting like a chemical solvent, literally melting away your nerve insulation. Today, I am revealing the 3 specific insulation melters that are likely sitting in your pantry or fridge right now. If you don't stop these, no supplement or cream in the world can fix the sugar rust eating you from the inside out. Now, if you've been following this channel, you know we've been diving deep into a concept I call sugar rust. In our last video, we discussed why that burning sensation hits its peak at 3 a.m. We talked about how high blood sugar levels, even if you aren't diabetic yet, create a process called glycation. This is essentially your blood turning into a sticky, abrasive syrup that rusts your internal systems. But here is the missing piece of the puzzle. Sugar rust doesn't just scratch your blood vessels, it specifically targets the myelin sheath. That is the scientific name for your nerve insulation. Today, we're taking that knowledge a step further. We aren't just talking about general sugar, we're identifying the 3 specific fuel sources for sugar rust that are most common in the USA today. If you saw the last video, you're already ahead of the game. If not, don't worry. This list will give you the exact avoidance map you need to start feeling like yourself again in 2026. Before we hit food number 1, you need to understand why these foods are so dangerous. Your nerves are incredibly resilient, but they are also hungry. They require a massive amount of oxygen and nutrients to maintain that myelin coating. The foods we are about to discuss do 2 things. They starve the nerve of oxygen, and they sandpaper the coating. It's a double whammy. Stay tuned because food number 2 on this list is something most Americans actually think is healthy for their heart. The first food, or rather ingredient, is the absolute king of sugar rust. In the United States, it is hidden in almost every processed item: high fructose corn syrup. Now I know what you're thinking. I don't drink soda, so I'm fine. Not so fast. In 2026, this syrup is tucked away in healthy whole grain breads, salad dressings, and even low-fat yogurts. Why is this worse than regular sugar? Because your liver has to process fructose differently. It creates a massive spike in advanced glycation end products, appropriately called A.G.E.s. These are the rust particles. When you consume this syrup, your blood becomes a delivery system for these particles, which then stick to your myelin sheath. It's like pouring hot wax onto a silk ribbon. It stiffens, cracks, and eventually breaks. If you're wondering why your feet feel heavier after a large meal, look at the condiment labels. But wait until you see food number 2, because this one is marketed as a health food, and it's likely causing 50% of the inflammation in your nervous system right now. This is where it gets controversial, but we have to talk about it if you want to save your nerves. Food number 2 is industrial seed oils, specifically soybean, canola, and corn oil. In the U.S., we've been told for 40 years that these are heart-healthy alternatives to butter, but for your nerve insulation, they are a nightmare. These oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, which, when consumed in the quantities we eat today, become highly unstable. Think of your myelin sheath as a wall of bricks. To stay strong, it needs stable fats. When you eat these processed oils, your body tries to use them as bricks to build your nerve insulation, but these bricks are soft and prone to oxidation. When your nerve insulation is built out of unstable seed oils, it oxidizes or rusts almost instantly. This leads to chronic neuroinflammation. You aren't just aging, your nerves are literally becoming rancid at a cellular level. Ever feel a sizzling or electrical zap in your toes? That's often the result of this oxidation we just talked about. It's a sign that the insulation is so thin that the electrical signal is leaking out into the surrounding tissue. Coming up, we're going to talk about food number 3, which is the hidden trigger found in almost every American breakfast. Removing this one thing could be the key to finally getting a full night's sleep without the burning. Food number 3 is modern refined flour. Now, I'm not just talking about carbs. I'm talking about the highly processed, bleached white flour found in 90% of American grocery store aisles. Here's the secret. Modern wheat in the USA is bred for high yield and high gluten. For many seniors over 60, the gut becomes less efficient at processing these proteins. This leads to leaky gut, where undigested proteins enter the bloodstream. Your immune system sees these invaders and goes into attack mode. This creates systemic inflammation. But here's the kicker. The molecular structure of these wheat proteins often looks very similar to, you guessed it, your myelin sheath. Your immune system gets confused. It tries to attack the wheat, but it accidentally starts friendly fire on your nerve insulation. This is called molecular mimicry. You're eating a bagel for breakfast, and by lunch, your immune system is nibbling on your nerves. Let's be real. It is harder than ever to avoid these in 2026. Everything is enriched or fortified. But enriched is often just code for we stripped the natural nutrients out and sprayed on some cheap synthetic vitamins. For the American senior, the challenge is that our food system is designed for shelf life, not nerve life. The preservatives that keep a loaf of bread soft for 3 weeks are the same chemicals that interfere with your nerve's ability to repair itself. Before we move into how to fix this, try this simple awareness test. Sit in a quiet chair, close your eyes, have a spouse or friend lightly touch your toes with a soft cotton ball. If you can't feel exactly which toe is being touched, or if it feels muffled, your insulation is likely thinned. But don't panic. The body is an amazing machine. Once you stop pouring the acid on the wires, the sugar rust begins to clear, and the body can begin its natural maintenance. So how do we stop the melting? It starts with the rule of replacement. You don't just stop eating. You switch the rust fuel for repair fuel. In a moment, I'm going to show you the #1 repair fat that helps rebuild that myelin sheath. It's the exact opposite of those nasty seed oils we talked about. If seed oils are soft bricks, we need steel beams. To rebuild nerve insulation, your body needs high-quality phospholipids and B vitamins, specifically B1 and B12. In 2026, many of us are overfed but undernourished. We are eating 3,000 calories a day, but our nerves are starving for vitamin B1. Why? Because sugar and refined flour consume B1 to be processed. The more liquid sandpaper you eat, the more your B1 levels drop. It's a downward spiral. By switching to healthy fats like grass-fed butter, avocado, and wild-caught fish, you provide the raw materials for myelin repair. So what actually happens in your body the moment you cut these 3 insulation melters out? Within the first 24 hours, the osmotic pressure in your blood begins to stabilize. When you stop pouring high fructose corn syrup into your system, your blood becomes less syrupy. Think of it like a plumbing system. When the water is thick and full of debris, the pump has to work overtime and the pipes get scratched. The moment you clear that out, your microcirculation, the tiny microscopic blood vessels that feed your nerves, finally gets a chance to breathe. For many American seniors, the first thing they notice isn't that the pain is gone, but that the volume has been turned down. That screaming 3 a.m. electric jolt becomes a dull hum. That is the sound of your nerves finally getting a cool-down period. This isn't a miracle. It's simply removing the chemical friction that has been keeping your nervous system in a state of high alarm for years. To truly build authority over your own health, you have to become a detective in your own kitchen. In the US, the marketing is clever. You'll see a bottle of dressing that says made with olive oil, but when you flip it over and look at the fine print, the first ingredient is soybean oil. That is the sugar rust trap. They give you a drop of the good stuff to put it on the label, but they fill the bottle with the insulation melter because it's cheaper for their bottom line. Check your heart-healthy spreads. Check your non-dairy creamers. If you see the words hydrogenated, fractionated, or refined, you are looking at the very thing keeping you in that orthopedic chair. This is about taking your power back from the big food corporations that have spent decades prioritizing shelf life over your quality of life. When you go to the store this week, look for cold-pressed or extra virgin. These are the only words that ensure the fat you're eating is stable enough to actually protect your nerve coating, rather than dissolve it. By now, you realize that your nerve insulation, your myelin, isn't just a static part of your body. It is a living, breathing shield that is constantly being repaired. In 2026, we have more access to repair fuels than ever before, but they are often buried under the noise of junk health. To support that insulation rebuild, you want to focus on alpha-lipoic acid and benfotiamine. Think of these as the maintenance crew for your nerves. While the three foods we discussed today are the demolition crew, these nutrients act like the workers coming in at night to patch the holes in the rubber coating of your wires. If you've spent years eating the wheat trap or the liquid sandpaper, your body is likely in a massive nutrient debt. You can't just stop the damage, you have to pay back the debt. This is why just eating better sometimes feels like it's taking too long. You have to be aggressive with your nutrition, because the sugar rust was aggressive with you. You've been told that nerve pain is a one-way street. You've been told that once that insulation is gone, it's gone for good. But look at the science of 2026. The body is designed to survive. It is designed to regenerate. The only reason it hasn't healed yet is because we've been accidentally feeding the fire every single morning at the breakfast table. This video is number 3 in our journey to stop the rust. We've identified the why, we've identified the when, and now you have the what to avoid. You are no longer a victim of age. You are now a researcher of your own health. The burning doesn't have to be your new normal. The numbness doesn't have to be your shadow. It starts with the very next meal you put in your mouth. You have the map, now it's time to drive. I've put together a specific list of nerve-safe swaps for these 3 foods, things that taste just as good but actually help your myelin heal. If you're ready to take the next step, make sure to check out my previous video on why the pain peaks at 3 a.m. so you can fully understand the cycle. Don't let sugar rust win. You've got the tools, you've got the knowledge, and now you've got the plan. I'll see you in the next video.